So this will absolutely be my most ambitious and bold word change yet, as I change English every single day on this journey. And that is because what I'm going to be changing today is the month of February. And of course, that's not going to be one that people would easily stomach and be accepting of. But I really do not like the actual word February. I think it just is not effective. It's confusing. And it doesn't give you any nice little hints for what's important in that month. And that's what my new word, I think, will be able to accomplish with tremendous effectiveness. But first, let's talk about what's wrong with February. Even though, yes, it doesn't have a whole lot of stuff like giving significance of it being the second month of the year or anything else going on in that month, it also is just so odd with its spelling versus its pronunciation, and it is just something that has bothered me basically for my lifetime. I mean, I'm happy that we all say it February instead of February, just because that one's a lot more difficult to get through and unpleasant to say. But the word should also reflect that in its spelling, and it just doesn't. They don't match up, and it bothers me. And I mean, like, I almost feel as if February had to have been created, like, in 2010 or something. How I imagine the word February being created, it's like, all right, there's a guy who goes off and names months, and that's his job. He's out celebrating. He's like, God, I just killed it. With January, he's just pounding alcohol. Comes back absolutely wasted. Someone wakes him voraciously in the morning. They're like, dude, we have to have a new name for the second month in 15 minutes or we're screwed. Just tell me something that I can work off of. Guy that thinks of the names, he's like, I was having bruises, Harry. And dude's like, you were effing having brews with Harry? All right, I mean, February, that work? They're both excited about it. They go with it. They send it off in an email. They're like, all right, February. And then they just kind of copy-pasted it from January pronunciation stuff. They're like, oh, God. The second half of the word is still pronounced the same as January. I forgot about the R in there, screwing it all up. And that's just how we got it. Like, official pronunciation was same as January, so everyone just went with it. The actual spelling was just thrown together last second. It was a typo, and it just kind of got kept, the discrepancy. That's how I imagine it. Obviously couldn't have been anywhere near that scenario, because February's been around a little bit longer than email, at least I think. But yeah, I find it so awkward that that's how the word functions. And I want to get rid of that. I don't like it. And when I told one of my friends, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to change February. He's like, we'll stay away from that one. It's Black History Month. I'm like, oh, that is a good point. Maybe I shouldn't change Black History Month. I'm like, well, maybe I could incorporate something into the name that, like, is inclusive in that and shows more respect towards that topic and helps people remember it. And then we were both just kind of like, that might just be, like, tough to do. And I was like, yeah, I probably should just stay away from it. That's not what this series is about. This is not what this series is about. Staying away from the tough changes, the tough challenges, shying away from things. Not at all what I'm going for. So we are going to be trying to incorporate at least the idea of honoring Black history at least a little bit in the name. That at least was some of the thought process that I was going through in changing it. And of course, once I change the name of the month, it will still be Black History Month. I'm not going to take that away. Like, absolutely not. But as I was thinking through, all right, names to replace February. What's important about February? Well, there's Black History Month. There's Valentine's Day, so it's kind of the month of love. There's also the least amount of days in that month. It's a short month. And then finally, I mean, it's the second month of the year. So I was just kind of thinking about things that I could use to build the bulk of the word that will be the new month. And I'm like, maybe I could do a prominent Black person from history or even recent history. I'm just like, it's just gonna be kind of hard to pick one that like would be, universally agreeable or just like hit on a lot of those points, it's gonna be tough. And then I'm like, all right, maybe I just shoot for like one or two. And I was in the shower actually while I was like kind of brainstorming these potential changes. And I suppose that does directly mean that, yes, I was thinking about black men in the shower to think of this word. You're welcome for that anecdote. And while I was in the shower, the perfect one hit me. Yeah, I just thought of it. I'm like, oh my God, it actually works in like every way that we can incorporate his name into the month, and it works extremely well. And that person is Kevin Hart. I mean, what are the things we're going for? Short, black, and involves love. That's Kevin Hart. I mean, he's short, he's black, and heart and love are obviously very linked. So, I mean, he hit all three. So, Kevin Hart was the inspiration for the new name for the month of February. So, the new name is going to be Hartist. And I am aware that Kevin Hart spells his last name H-A-R-T, so there's no E from the normal Hart. And I did decide to go with more of the heart body part as the base structure of the word instead of Kevin's last name, just because, I mean, he can be the inspiration, but like overall the month isn't, oh, this is Kevin Hart's month. I mean, no. It's supposed to be acknowledging these significant aspects that I've already laid out of the month, which Kevin Hart does well. So he was the inspiration. He has that locked down. We're not giving you the entire word, though. I'm sorry. So we're keeping the anatomy side of the word. And then, once I had Hart, I was kind of thinking what ending to go with. I ended up using the UST that you see in, like, August. The reason I went with that ending is because Hartist, I think, is an appropriate sound and is similar enough to hardest, which I think can be an accurate description for February as well. February can often be the hardest month for people. If you're single out there and you go Valentine's Day after Valentine's Day with no one around, that can be a tough period to go through. It's also the middle of winter in the United States typically, so it's usually kind of a down time for people for that reason as well. So I thought Hartist being the hardest month for people at times kind of made sense to me, and I thought it flowed well. It makes more sense than like Hartember, Hartsly, Hearty, like it just, I don't know, the other ones are pretty awkward. So hardest is what we're settling on. Am I confident that absolutely everyone is going to be happy that like a month would be renamed after Kevin Hart? Not exactly. Don't think I'm going to get unanimous approval on that one, even though Kevin Hart is wildly popular. But I mean, the name works for so many reasons. I felt like I had to go with it once I thought of that. But I mean, he's also an extremely prominent, powerful black man at this time who has kind of paved his own way and is really showing people a method of being successful and capitalizing on your own talents. And he's kind of paved the way for a lot of people like him and a lot of other young black men. So realistically, I don't feel like it's too bad of a choice. If you're wondering what the 3-letter abbreviation for the month of hardest would be, I think we're just going to go with the HRT. So I think hardest is a good change, one that should be adopted. If people don't feel like adopting it, they're like, I'm just going to stick with February. I want February. Why do we need to change February? I just think that February is just not that good. It wasn't from the beginning. But I mean, I will say, hardest has been Black History Month for the entirety of its existence. So we've got kind of a 100% success rate on that one. And I mean, February has been the name of the second month of the year for approximately 2,000 years. And it's only been Black History Month since 1970. So you could go with the one that's always been Black History Month or the one that's been Black History Month for 2% of its existence. But, you know, I'm just going to mention that, see how you guys feel about it. And, I mean, we'll just base your choice of which month to use probably exactly on that metric. That's probably a fair thing to do, right? We'll just say, like, people, corporations, just everyone out there, choose wisely, I suppose. So, of course, February is completely out of my vocabulary. I can never say it in one of my videos ever again. So after February/hardest 7th, I can no longer say February. It's all done. If I do, y'all are going to have to think of some good punishments. Now, on to the comment of the day. Comment of the day comes from Gavin, who says, I think Jack brought a fun aspect to the video, but I'm glad Wippy came in to clarify the meaning of ewish. And yes, Gavin, I would have to agree, I actually had a ton of fun recording it with him and editing it with him around, but like I say in the video, the structure of that thing was terrible, and it probably got kind of confusing and was definitely chaotic, but having a little bit of that every now and then is pretty good. Thanks for the comment. I'm going to give your comment a 21 out of 27. Now moving on to the song of the day. Song of the day is Livin' It Up by Young Thug with Post Malone and A$AP Rocky. I'm actually pretty new to this song. I haven't heard it a ton. I saw it in like a tweet, and I'm like, oh my, this is good, and it's Post, and I haven't heard new Post in forever. I didn't know he'd released new music. That's because it was a Young Thug song off of his album, but it like instantly grabbed me, and I think it's a very enjoyable song.
Nice, here we go, dum dum dum. Yeah, one's too many, 100 isn't enough. Yeah, 100 just isn't enough.
Video of the day comes from Kevin Hart, Seriously Funny. It's a clip of him cussing out his teacher, and it is maybe one of my favorite Kevin Hart clips out there. Super quotable, tremendous stuff out of Kevin here.
I was like, it's about to go back. Long titty, no nipple having ass bitch.
And had to throw my respect to the source of Hartist. And that's going to do it for the Daily Do. Peace out.